Hey kids, you're safe now. Why are you out here all alone? Daniel's voice, warm yet edged with concern, cut through the forest's twilight hush as he knelt before Ethan and Lily, their tear-streaked faces pale under the pines. His brown eyes softened, catching the hunger in their trembling frames, a sight that stirred shadows of his own haunted past. This fleeting encounter, born in the wilds of rural California, would unravel a tale of heartbreak and hope, where a millionaire's compassion reshapes a family's destiny. Their story, raw and transformative, will leave you breathless, revealing secrets that bind strangers. I'd love for you to subscribe and share where you're listening from. Maybe a cozy evening in New York or a sunny morning in Tokyo. Stick around, this journey's twists will grip your heart. In the parched hills of rural California, where golden fields sprawled like sun-bleached tapestries, life crept along like a half-dried creek. Dust swirled on cracked dirt roads, carrying whispers of sage and distant wildfires. Here Margaret Hayes lived, her heart a fragile bird fluttering in a cage of ribs. At 38, she was a shadow of her younger self. Slender to the point of frailty, her dark blonde hair streaked with silver, tied in a loose bun that betrayed rushed mornings. Her green eyes, faded like weathered glass, bore the weight of endless worries, shadowed by a chronic heart condition that stole her breath on bad days. She wore a patched skirt and a darn cardigan, her hands scarred from sewing jobs that barely kept hunger at bay. A small silver necklace, a relic from her late husband, hung close to her heart. Tom, Margaret's husband, had been stolen by cancer months after their daughter's birth, a cruel thief that left her with 2 children and a heap of medical debts. Tom, a farmer with a booming laugh, had been their anchor. Now 5 years later, Margaret survived on odd tasks, mending clothes, fixing fences, or patching roofs when her strength held. Her heart's erratic thump was a constant reminder that time was no friend. She clutched a sewing kit in her pocket, its threads a lifeline in their unraveling world. Her children were her beacon. Ethan, 6, was a whirlwind of energy, his tousled brown hair falling over his forehead, his bright blue eyes alight with mischief. Thin from sparse meals, he wore frayed jeans, a faded red t-shirt, and scuffed sneakers that pounded the earth. A tattered backpack slung over his shoulder held treasures, a shiny rock, a bent toy car, tokens of adventures that dulled the ache of hunger. Ethan was his sister's shield, a small knight in ragged armor, fiercely protective. Lily, 5, was his quiet shadow, delicate as a wisp. Her light brown hair, loosely braided, framed wide blue eyes that pleaded for safety. Her floral dress, faded and too big, hung like a wilted petal, paired with worn sandals that slapped softly. She clutched a threadbare stuffed bunny, its ears floppy from countless hugs, her silent ally. Lily spoke little, sketching flowers and families on scraps of paper, dreaming beyond their hardships. Their days began before dawn in a weathered cottage on Willow Creek's outskirts, its leaky roof and scarred table testaments to lean times. Margaret woke them gently, her voice soft amid the house's creaks. "School time, my loves," she'd say, forcing a smile that didn't reach her tired eyes. Ethan sprang up, chattering about chasing bugs at recess. While Lily lingered, Bunny pressed to her chest. The mile-long walk to Willow Creek Elementary wound through scrub oak and wild mustard. The school, a peeling building, housed 20 children under Mrs. Harlan, a teacher blending patience with pity. Ethan thrived in the chaos, racing through tag and soccer, but hunger dulled his focus. His stomach growled by noon, and he'd share his lunch, a bruised apple, half a sandwich, with Lily, who nibbled silently, eyes downcast. Lily struggled. The classroom's noise overwhelmed her. She'd huddle in corners, sketching on old worksheets. Classmates teased her silence. "Why don't you talk, Lily Pad?" Until Ethan's fierce, "Leave her alone," silenced them. Mrs. Harlan noticed their hollow cheeks and faded clothes, slipping them extra fruit, but it was a drop in an empty bucket. Evenings brought fragile peace. Margaret's sewing machine hummed like a weary heartbeat, the children helping, Ethan fetching thread, Lily sorting buttons, while beans and rice simmered. Despite her fatigue, Margaret gathered them on the sagging couch for bedtime stories. Once upon a time, she'd begin, weaving tales of knights and enchanted woods, her eyes bright as she stroked Lily's hair. Ethan leaned in, imagining himself the hero, while Lily snuggled close, bunny wedged between. At night, alone, Margaret's fears surfaced. By the window, hand on her chest, she felt her heart's uneven thump. "What will become of them?" she whispered to the stars. Tom's insurance had vanished in treatments, leaving debts that gnawed like termites. She dreamed of full pantries and better schools, but reality was barren. The county fair burst into their world like a flare. Held in the valley, its Ferris wheel spun against the sky, the air thick with cotton candy and hay. Margaret saved pennies for weeks, her heart swelling at their joy. "Stay close," she warned, gripping their hands amid the bustling crowd. Ethan's eyes lit up at the games, his backpack bouncing. "Lily, the ring toss!" he cried, tugging her along. Lily nodded, braids swaying, clutching her bunny. Margaret bought them popcorn, her chest tightening from the walk. Then in a flash, it happened. Ethan spotted friends darting toward the petting zoo. "Race you!" he shouted, pulling Lily through the crowd, giggles trailing. Margaret called, "Ethan! Lily!" But her voice drowned in the fair's roar. She pushed forward, breathless, as the masses swallowed her. The children chased their friends past the fair's edge, where noise faded into rustling trees. The national forest loomed, its pines and oaks deceptively inviting. "Where'd they go?" Ethan panted, leading Lily deeper, thinking it a shortcut. Lily hesitated, eyes wide. "Mommy?" The fair's lights faded, paths twisted, and soon they were alone under towering trees, the sun sinking. Ethan's bravado wavered as shadows grew. "We'll find our way," he told Lily, squeezing her hand. But fear coiled in his gut. They were lost. The shadows of the national forest deepened like ink spilling across a canvas, swallowing the last glimmers of the county fair's distant lights. Ethan gripped Lily's hand tighter, his small palms slick with sweat, as they stumbled along a winding path carpeted in pine needles and fallen leaves. The air grew cooler, laced with the earthy scent of moss and damp soil, and the cheerful cacophony of the fair had faded into an eerie symphony of rustling branches and distant owl hoots. "It's an adventure, Lily," Ethan whispered, forcing bravado into his voice, though his heart hammered like a trapped rabbit. At 6, he felt the weight of being the big brother, the protector, but the forest's vastness made him feel infinitesimally small. Lily whimpered softly, her blue eyes wide with terror, clutching her stuffed bunny to her chest as if it could ward off the encroaching darkness. Her braided hair had come undone in places, strands sticking to her tear-streaked cheeks, and her floral dress snagged on thorns, tearing a small rip. "I want Mommy," she murmured, her voice a fragile thread that tugged at Ethan's resolve. He pulled her closer, scanning the thickening woods for any sign of the path back. The trees loomed like silent giants, their trunks twisted and bark rough under his tentative touch. "We'll find her soon. Remember the stories Mommy tells? The brave kids always make it home." They pressed on, Ethan's scuffed sneakers kicking up dust, his faded red t-shirt clinging to his back from the exertion. Hunger gnawed at them both, a sharp reminder of the popcorn they'd barely savored before the chase. Ethan's backpack bounced against his hip, its contents, a rock, a toy car, now seeming trivial in the face of real peril. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples, but the canopy above stole most of the light, casting long, claw-like shadows. Birds flitted overhead, their calls mocking the siblings' plight. Ethan tried to distract Lily with games. "Count the squirrels," but her responses dwindled to sniffles, her worn sandals dragging in the dirt. As twilight crept in, fatigue set its hooks deep. Ethan's legs burned, his energy waning like a dying flame. He spotted a narrow stream gurgling over smooth stones, its water sparkling faintly in the dimming light. "Let's rest here," he said, leading Lily to the bank. They collapsed onto a bed of soft ferns, the cool mist from the water, a brief comfort against their flushed skin. Lily curled into a ball, her bunny pressed to her face, silent tears soaking its fur. Ethan wrapped an arm around her, fighting his own rising panic. "Don't cry, Lil. I'm here." But as the first stars pierced the sky, Fear uncoiled fully in his chest. What if no one found them? What if wolves lurked in the shadows, like in Mommy's tales? His blue eyes stung with unshed tears, but he blinked them away. For Lily. The forest came alive with night sounds. Crickets chirping in relentless chorus, leaves whispering secrets, and somewhere far off, the snap of a twig that made them both freeze. Hunger twisted their stomachs into knots, and thirst parched their throats. Ethan cupped water from the stream in his hands, urging Lily to drink, but she shook her head, too scared to swallow. "Ethan, are we gonna die?" she whispered, her voice breaking the silence like shattering glass. He shook his head fiercely. "No way. Heroes don't die in adventures." Yet doubt gnawed at him, memories of their sparse dinners flashing, how Mommy's eyes would dim when the plate was empty. Here, alone, that hardship felt like a prelude to this nightmare. Hours blurred into a haze of cold and dread. They huddled closer, Lily's shivers transferring to Ethan, their breaths mingling in white puffs as the temperature plummeted. Tears flowed freely now, Ethan's resolve crumbling as he sobbed quietly, pulling Lily into his lap. "Mommy will come," he murmured, more to convince himself than her. The stream babbled indifferently, a cruel lullaby in their despair. Meanwhile, miles away on a winding forest road that skirted the national park, Daniel Reed navigated his rugged SUV with practiced ease. At 28, he was a man forged from adversity, now thriving as the owner of Verdant Harvest, a farm-to-table organic empire spanning California's valleys. Tall and lean, with dark brown hair, sun-bleached at the tips and warm brown eyes that hid layers of past pain, he sported a light stubble and a farmer's tan beneath his flannel shirt and jeans. Sturdy boots crunched gravel as he scouted for new suppliers, local beekeepers and herb growers, to expand his business. A single father to 10-year-old Sophia, Daniel balanced ambition with quiet reflection, his leather wristband a memento from harder days. The day's scouting had been fruitful, but as dusk fell, he decided on one last detour down a lesser-traveled path. His headlights sliced through the gloom, illuminating the road's curves. Then a flicker caught his eye. Two small figures, huddled by the stream's edge, their cries faint but piercing. Daniel's heart lurched. Memories of his own childhood flashed unbidden. Nights of hunger after his father's death. The abuse from a stepfather that left scars deeper than skin. He slowed the vehicle, pulse quickening. "Kids? Out here alone?" Pulling over, he approached slowly, hands visible, his voice gentle like coaxing a skittish animal. "Hey there, are you okay? I'm Daniel. I won't hurt you." Ethan jerked up, shielding Lily, his blue eyes fierce despite the tears. "Who are you?" Daniel knelt at a distance, offering a warm smile. "Just a guy driving by. You look lost. Hungry?" He reached into his car, pulling out a bottle of water and organic snacks, apple slices, nut bars, from a cooler stocked for his trips. The sight of their thin frames, the hollow in their cheeks, tugged at him, echoing his past deprivations. Ethan hesitated, but Lily's wide blue eyes fixed on the food. We got lost from the fair," Ethan admitted, voice trembling. Daniel nodded calmly, passing the water first. "Drink slow. Tell me your names. We'll get you home." As they nibbled, relief washing over their faces, Daniel's mind raced. How to help without scaring them more? The entrepreneur in him faded. The survivor emerged, vowing silently to be their lifeline in this darkening wood. The SUV's engine hummed like a reassuring heartbeat as Daniel guided Ethan and Lily away from the stream's edge, the forest's shadows retreating under the beam of his headlights. The children clung to each other, their small forms dwarfed by the vehicle's leather seats. Ethan's backpack wedged between them like a makeshift barrier. Lily's blue eyes darted nervously, her stuffed bunny clutched in a death grip, while Ethan's gaze fixed on Daniel with a mix of wariness and budding trust. The organic snacks had eased their immediate hunger, but Daniel could see the hollow exhaustion in their faces, the way Lily's cheeks flushed from crying, Ethan's tousled hair matted with sweat and dirt. "You two must be starving properly," Daniel said softly, his warm brown eyes meeting theirs in the rearview mirror. "How about a real meal? There's a diner just down the road. Best sandwiches in the county. Ethan hesitated, his protective instincts flaring. Mommy says not to go with strangers. Daniel nodded, respecting the boy's caution. Smart rule, but I'm no stranger now. I'm Daniel, and I've got a daughter about your age, Sophia. She loves drawing, like I bet you do, little one, he added, glancing at Lily, who peeked out from behind her bunny. The mention sparked a tiny spark in her eyes. Ethan waited, stomach rumbling audibly. Okay, but promise you'll take us home after? Daniel's smile was genuine, etched with the empathy of someone who'd known loss. Promise. Cross my heart. The drive was short, the road twisting through the forest fringes before opening to a neon-lit haven. Joe's roadside diner, a weathered beacon with checkered curtains and the sizzle of griddles audible even outside. Daniel parked, helping them out. Ethan hopping down defiantly, Lily needing a gentle hand. Inside, the air was thick with the aroma of frying bacon and fresh coffee, a symphony that made the siblings' mouths water. Booths lined the walls, occupied by truckers nursing mugs and locals swapping stories. Daniel chose a quiet corner, sliding in across from them. The waitress, a kind-faced woman named Rita, with a pencil tucked behind her ear, approached with menus. What'll it be, folks? 2 kid-sized turkey sandwiches, extra cheese, and big glasses of milk, Daniel ordered, winking at the children. Fries on the side, and apple pie for dessert. Organic if you've got it. Rita chuckled. Close enough, hon. As they waited, Daniel leaned in, his flannel shirt sleeves rolled up, revealing the farmer's tan. So tell me about yourselves. Names first. Fair trade for the food. Ethan straightened, pride flickering. I'm Ethan Hayes. This is my sister, Lily. Lily whispered her confirmation, fiddling with her braid. We go to Willow Creek Elementary, Mrs. Harlan's class. Daniel nodded, committing it to memory, his mind already turning to the next steps. The sandwiches arrived steaming, golden bread piled with turkey, lettuce crunching under bites. Ethan devoured his, sauce smearing his chin, while Lily ate delicately, her blue eyes widening with each flavorful mouthful. The milk was cold and creamy, washing away the forest's thirst. Between bites, Daniel coaxed stories from them. Ethan's tales of schoolyard chases, Lily's shy admission of loving to draw flowers. He shared lightly in return, keeping it simple to build rapport. I run a farm, grow veggies and fruits without chemicals. Ever picked a strawberry right off the vine? Tastes like sunshine. Ethan's curiosity piqued. Really? We only have beans at home. Daniel's heart twinged, sensing the undercurrent of hardship, but he steered away, focusing on the now. The pie followed, warm and cinnamon-scented, eliciting rare giggles from Lily as she licked her fork. With plates cleared, Daniel pulled out his phone, the diner's hum providing a comforting backdrop. Time to get you home. Let's call your school principal, who might know how to reach your mom. Ethan's nod was solemn. Daniel dialed the number for Willow Creek Elementary, pieced from a quick search on his device. It rang twice before Principal Ellis answered, her voice crisp but concerned. Schools in small towns kept odd hours for emergencies. This is Daniel Reed. I've found 2 lost kids, Ethan and Lily Hayes. They're safe with me at Joe's Diner off Highway 12. Ellis gasped. Thank God, their mother's been frantic. Called us when they vanished at the fair. I'll alert her right away and coordinate pickup. While waiting for confirmation, Daniel eased the tension with more stories. On my farm, we have chickens that lay eggs in every color. Blue, green, even speckled. Sophia once named them all after storybook characters. Lily's eyes lit up. Like in mommy stories? Daniel chuckled. Exactly. And we make jam from berries. Strawberry, blueberry. Bet you'd be great at stirring the pot. Ethan grinned, forgetting his fears momentarily, imagining the farm's wonders. The clock ticked, the diner's neon flickering like a heartbeat. Back at the fairgrounds, chaos reigned. Margaret Hayes paced the makeshift search hub, a cluster of volunteers under string lights, her green eyes wild with panic, hand pressed to her fluttering chest. The heart condition amplified her terror, breaths coming in shallow gasps. They were right here, 1 minute chasing friends, The next, gone. Fairgoers had helped scour the stalls, police radios crackling with updates. When her phone buzzed, Principal Ellis, hope and dread collided. "Margaret, they're safe. A man named Daniel Reed found them in the forest. He's bringing them to the school now." Margaret's knees buckled, tears streaming. "Oh, God, thank you. I'm coming." She bolted to her old truck, engine sputtering to life, the drive a blur of headlights and pounding heart. Volunteers cheered her off, but inside, guilt gnawed. How had she let them slip away? Daniel settled the bill, ushering the children back to the SUV. The drive to Willow Creek Elementary was silent at first, then filled with Ethan's questions about the farm. Lily dozed against her brother, Bunny in lap. As the school's lights appeared, Daniel felt a quiet resolve. This wasn't just a rescue. It stirred echoes of his own past. He parked, helping them out, the building's doors swinging open to reveal a waiting Ellis. The siblings ran inside, but Ethan turned back. "Thanks, Mr. Daniel." Daniel smiled, ruffling his hair. "Anytime, kid." As Margaret's truck roared into the lot, tires screeching, the night held its breath. The reunion imminent, fraught with relief and unspoken fears. The school's parking lot was a pool of harsh fluorescent light, casting long shadows that danced like specters as Margaret's old truck skidded to a halt. Tires squealed against asphalt, echoing her inner turmoil, a storm of relief laced with terror. She burst from the cab, her patched skirt whipping in the night breeze, silver-streaked hair escaping its bun in wild tendrils. Her green eyes, bloodshot from hours of frantic searching, scanned the scene desperately. There, under the entrance awning, stood Principal Ellis, a sturdy woman in a sensible cardigan, flanked by her children. Ethan and Lily looked small and disheveled, Ethan's red t-shirt rumpled, Lily's braid undone, her bunny dangling limply. But beside them was a stranger, a tall man in flannel and jeans, his warm brown eyes calm amid the chaos. Margaret's heart seized, her chronic condition sending a sharp flutter through her chest. Who was he? Why was he with her babies? Fear, amplified by exhaustion and the fair's nightmare, twisted into rage. She charged forward, breaths ragged, hand clutching her necklace like an anchor. "Get away from them!" she shrieked, voice cracking like thunder. "You took my children! Kidnapper!" The word hurled like a dagger, slicing the air. Ethan and Lily froze, then burst into tears. Ethan's blue eyes wide with confusion, Lily burying her face in her bunny. "Mommy, no!" Ethan cried, stepping between them. "He saved us! We were lost in the woods." Daniel recoiled slightly, hands raised in surrender, his farmer's tan paling under the lights. At 28, he'd faced hardships, his father's death, a brutal stepfather, his mother's illness. But nothing like this accusation. It stung, echoing the distrust he'd known as a hungry child. Yet empathy held him steady. He saw the raw panic in Margaret's faded green eyes, the way her thin frame trembled. "Ma'am, I swear, I found them by a stream. They were scared, hungry. I just wanted to help." Margaret ignored him, scooping her children into a fierce embrace, her sewing kit bulging in her pocket as she knelt. Tears streamed down her cheeks, mingling with theirs. "My babies, oh God, I thought I'd lost you forever." Lily sobbed into her shoulder. "Mommy, he gave us food. Sandwiches." Ethan nodded vigorously. "And called the school. He's nice, Mommy." But Margaret's mind raced, fueled by every horror story she'd heard on the radio. Strangers preying on the vulnerable. Her heart pounded erratically, vision blurring. She gasped, steadying herself against the wall. "Principal Ellis, call the police." "This man—" Ellis stepped forward, her voice firm yet soothing, like a teacher's command in a stormy classroom. "Margaret, wait. Let's breathe. Mr. Reed called me himself. He explained everything. The forest, the diner. The kids confirmed it." She placed a hand on Margaret's arm, guiding her inside the dimly lit foyer, where posters of smiling students mocked the tension. Daniel followed at a distance, the children trailing him like reluctant shadows. "He's Daniel Reed, runs Verdant Harvest, that organic farm business up the valley. Reputable man. I checked his ID when he arrived." Margaret faltered, doubt creeping in like dawn's first light. She released her children slightly, studying Daniel anew. His sturdy boots, the logo on his jacket, the genuine concern in his eyes. But fear lingered, a stubborn fog. "Prove it," she demanded, voice hoarse. Ellis nodded, pulling out her phone. Already did a quick search while waiting. Verdant harvest, farm to table, supplies half the state's markets. Articles praise him for community donations. She showed the screen. Headlines about organic innovations. A photo of Daniel at a charity event. His smile warm, even in pixels. Margaret scrolled briefly, her trembling fingers pausing on a bio mentioning his single fatherhood. His rise from hardship. It humanized him, chipping at her defenses. The children tugged at her skirt. "Mommy, please," Lily whispered, her blue eyes pleading. Ethan added, "He told stories about his farm. Chickens with colored eggs." Margaret's resolve cracked. She saw no malice in Daniel's posture, only patience. Shame flooded her, hot and unrelenting. She'd let fear blind her, her health's fragility turning worry into accusation. Collapsing onto a bench, she buried her face in her hands. I'm so sorry," she murmured, voice breaking. "I was terrified. After Tom died, it's just us. My heart, it's weak. I thought—" Tears choked her words. Daniel knelt to her level, his voice gentle as a summer rain. "I understand. A mother's fear. It's fierce, protective. I'd do the same for my Sophia." He glanced at the children, offering a reassuring smile. "No harm done. They're safe now." Ethan and Lily relaxed, wiping their tears, the crisis ebbing like a receding tide. Margaret looked up, her green eyes meeting his brown ones, gratitude mingling with remorse. "Thank you for saving them. Truly. I don't know what I'd do without them." He waved it off, but his empathy deepened. Seeing their thin frames, the worn clothes, stirred memories of his own orphaned youth, the abuse, the hunger that drove him to build his empire. "Let me check on you all later. Maybe drop off some fresh produce. Kids need good food after a night like this." Margaret nodded weakly, too drained to refuse. "That would be kind." As the principal arranged paperwork, a simple report for the records, the group lingered in the foyer. Daniel comforted the children with light tales, easing the lingering sobs. Margaret watched, her apology settling like balm on a wound. Outside, stars twinkled indifferently, but inside, a fragile bridge formed. Over the coming weeks, Daniel's deliveries would begin. Baskets of organic fruits, vegetables, building trust from this stormy start. For now, the night exhaled, reunions sealed in forgiveness, the forest's shadow finally lifting. The weeks following the forest ordeal blurred into a rhythm of tentative healing, marked by the rumble of Daniel's SUV, pulling up the dusty drive to Margaret's weathered cottage. At first, his visits were simple acts of kindness, baskets brimming with verdant harvest bounty, crisp apples, vibrant carrots, jars of homemade strawberry jam, all organic and sun-kissed. Daniel would arrive in the late afternoons, his flannel shirt dusted with farm soil, warm brown eyes crinkling at the edges as he handed over the goods. "Just checking in," he'd say, his voice a steady anchor in the family's storm-tossed sea. Ethan and Lily greeted him like a returning hero, Ethan's blue eyes sparkling with excitement as he rifled through the treats. Lily shyly offering a drawing of colorful chickens inspired by his stories. Margaret watched from the porch at first, her green eyes guarded, hand absently pressing her chest where her heart fluttered unpredictably. The misunderstanding at the school lingered like a bruise, but Daniel's persistence wore it down. He never pushed, instead lingering for tea in the cramped kitchen, where the leaky faucet dripped like a metronome of their struggles. Over cups of weak herbal brew, conversations deepened. She shared fragments of her life, the cancer that claimed Tom, leaving her buried in bills, the odd jobs that strained her frail health, the nights she lay awake, fearing for her children's future. "Tom was everything," she'd whisper, fingering her silver necklace. "Now it's just us against the world." Daniel listened, his lean frame leaning forward, empathy etching lines on his face. He saw echoes of his own pain in her story, the isolation, the grinding poverty. As trust bloomed, he reciprocated, peeling back layers of his guarded past. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, painting the cottage in golden hues, he sat with them on the sagging couch. Ethan perched on his knee, munching on an apple, while Lily colored quietly at his feet. "I know what it's like to lose everything," Daniel began, his voice low and resonant, like a river carving stone. "My father died when I was 8, car accident, left my mom broken. Then came the stepfather." He paused, brown eyes darkening with old shadows. "Abusive, beat me for the smallest things. Mom tried to protect me, but her illness, cancer, like your Tom's, she faded away, leaving me alone with him until I ran away at 15. The room fell silent, save for the children's soft breaths. Margaret's eyes widened, mirroring his sorrow. "How did you survive?" Daniel's jaw tightened, but his gaze softened on the kids. "Orphanages at first, harsh places, full of forgotten souls. I scraped by, vowing to build something better. That's why Verdant Harvest exists, healthy food from the earth, to heal bodies and spirits. I visit those orphanages now, donate, try to mend what broke me." He ruffled Ethan's hair. "Seeing these two hungry that night, it hit home. No child should know that ache." As weeks turned to a month, the visits wove into their lives like threads in Margaret's sewing. Daniel brought more than food: books for Lily, a toy truck for Ethan, even a mechanic to fix the truck's sputtering engine. He learned the depths of their plight, the cottage's mortgage hanging by a thread, Margaret's doctor visits skipped for lack of funds, the children's school lunches often just bread. One crisp autumn afternoon, as leaves swirled like confetti outside, Daniel arrived with a larger basket and a heavier heart. The children played in the yard, Ethan's laughter ringing as he chased Lily, her braid flying. Inside, over steaming tea, he broached the unspoken. "Margaret," he said, setting down his cup with deliberate care, "I've been thinking, these kids, they deserve more. Stability, education, a future without worry." Her green eyes narrowed, sensing the shift. "What are you saying?" Daniel leaned in, vulnerability raw. "I'd like to adopt them. Give them a home on the farm with Sophia. Schools there are better, food eyes endless. But you'd be part of it. I'd offer you a job. Light admin work, managing records, training provided, flexible for your health. Pay well enough to ease your burdens." The words hung like smoke, thick and startling. Margaret's hand flew to her chest, heart racing in protest. "Adopt her children?" Pride surged, a fierce guardian. "They're mine," she choked, tears welling. "I love them more than life." Daniel nodded, undeterred. "I know. That's why it's hard. But think of them. Ethan's energy needs space to run. Lily's shyness, a safe haven to bloom. I empathize because I was them. Lost, hungry, traumatized. This isn't taking them away. It's giving them wings with you still guiding." Inner turmoil roiled within Margaret like a gathering storm. Pride warred with desperation. Her sewing kit lay idle more days now, her breath shorter, the cottage colder as winter loomed. Visions flashed. Ethan in a real school, drawing without hunger pangs. Lily singing freely, not whispering fears. But surrender her role? Let another provide what she couldn't? I I need time," she whispered, voice trembling. Daniel rose, placing a hand on her shoulder, warm, reassuring. "Of course. Consult whom you need. I'm here." That night, as stars blanketed the sky, Margaret paced the creaky floor, children asleep in their shared bed. She phoned a lawyer friend, voice hushed, outlining the offer. "Is it possible? Legal?" The answer came. Yes, with evaluations, but voluntary adoptions were rare with a living parent. Next, Child Protective Services. A social worker's visit is scheduled to assess. Doubt gnawed. Was she failing them by considering, or failing by refusing? Dawn broke with her decision. Fragile but forming, she'd explore for their sake. The process would stretch into months, but the seed was planted, hope sprouting amid the hardship's weeds. Outside, Daniel drove away, his SUV fading into the hills, set on healing old wounds through new bonds. The family stood at a crossroads, the offer of a lifeline dangling in the wind. Months dragged like heavy chains through the legal labyrinth, each link forged in paperwork, home visits, and whispered evaluations. Social workers scrutinized Margaret's cottage, Daniel's sprawling farm, and the fragile threads binding them. Lawyers debated clauses, psychologists probed hearts, Margaret's pride clashing with her love, Daniel's empathy fueling his resolve. Finally, the gavel fell. Adoption approved, with Margaret's consent and her new role secured. Ethan and Lily, wide-eyed at the change, packed their meager belongings, Ethan's backpack stuffed with treasures, Lily's bunny and sketchpad clutched tight. Margaret, her green eyes misty, hugged them fiercely. "It's not goodbye, my loves. I'll visit every weekend." Her administrative job at the farm started soon, a lifeline for her health and finances. The drive to verdant harvest wound through sun-dappled valleys, Daniel's SUV humming with anticipation. Ethan bounced in his seat, blue eyes alight. "Is the farm really big? With chickens?" Daniel chuckled, glancing in the rear view. "Bigger than you can imagine, kid. And wait till you meet Sophia. She's excited." A white lie. His 10-year-old daughter had sulked at the news, her auburn curls framing a pout. Smart as a whip, with a nose perpetually in books, Sophia feared dilution of her father's love, the only constant since her mother's abandonment years ago. The farm unfolded like a living tapestry, rolling fields of organic greens, orchards heavy with fruit, a red barn echoing with animal calls. Daniel's home stood proud, a spacious ranch house with a wraparound porch, windows spilling golden light. Sophia waited inside, book in hand, her neat ponytail and sweater a contrast to the newcomer's worn clothes. "This is Sophia," Daniel announced, ushering Ethan and Lily in. Ethan grinned. "Hi, I'm Ethan, and this is Lily. Your farm's awesome." Lily peeked shyly, offering a drawing of a family under a tree. Sophia's hazel eyes narrowed, jealousy coiling like a vine. "Whatever," she muttered, snatching a toy from the coffee table and retreating to her room. Daniel sighed, ruffling the siblings' hair. "Give her time." Initial days crackled with tension, the house a battlefield of unspoken fears. Sophia claimed the living room for her reading nook, scattering books like barriers. When Ethan approached with his toy car, "Want a race?" she snapped. "No, go play outside." Lily's attempts fared worse. Her pictures, left on Sophia's door, vanished into the trash. At dinner, fresh salads and grilled chicken from the farm, Sophia complained to Daniel. "They're always in my space, Dad. Why do we need them?" Daniel's brown eyes softened. "They're family now, Soph, like you and me." But her fear festered, losing her father's bedtime stories, his undivided attention. She hid her favorite puzzles, whispered exclusions during farm chores. Weeks stretched, conflict simmering like a pot on a low boil. Ethan and Lily explored the farm's wonders, picking berries, feeding goats, their thin frames filling out on wholesome meals. But Sophia's resistance lingered, a cold front in the warm home. Ethan, ever energetic, shared his rock collection one rainy afternoon. "This one's shiny. Want to see?" Sophia huffed but glanced, curiosity flickering. Lily persisted with drawings. A big sister portrait slipped under her door. "For you," Lily whispered. Sophia crumpled it at first, but later smoothed it out, a crack in her armor. The pivotal storm broke at the new school, a modern building amid vineyards, worlds from Willow Creek's peeling walls. Ethan and Lily thrived. Ethan in art class, sketching farms, Lily humming songs and music. Sophia, in her grade above, ruled the library but faced bullies, older kids mocking her bookishness. "Nerdy Soph, always alone," they jeered during recess, circling her on the playground. Sophia shrank, book clutched like a shield, tears welling. Then Ethan spotted it from afar, his blue eyes flashing. "Hey, leave her alone!" he charged, Lily trailing bravely. The bullies laughed. "What are you going to do, shrimp?" But Ethan stood firm, fist balled. "She's our sister. Back off." Lily, voice trembling, added, "You're mean." The commotion drew teachers, dispersing the group. Sophia stared, stunned, as Ethan helped her up. "You okay, big sis?" Her hazel eyes met his blue ones, walls crumbling. Why'd you do that? Ethan shrugged. Family sticks together, like in stories. Lily nodded, handing her a crumpled tissue. That evening, transformation stirred. Sophia sought them out in the garden, where they played amid tomato vines. Thanks, for today, she mumbled, book tucked under arm. Ethan beamed. Want to help pick veggies? Hesitant at first, she joined, dirt smudging her neat sweater. Laughter bubbled as they unearthed carrots, Sophia explaining soil science from her reads. Daniel watched from afar, pride swelling. He fostered bonds with subtle nudges, family cooking lessons, where they baked organic pies, flour dusting noses, farm outings to milk cows, Sophia teaching the siblings facts. Camping sealed the shift. Under starlit skies in the farm's backwoods, tents pitched by a crackling fire, Daniel led s'mores and stories. Sophia shared her book tales, Ethan adding wild twists, Lily drawing the scene by flashlight. You're not so bad, Sophia admitted to them, curled in sleeping bags. Glad you're here. Bonds grew like roots. Garden play turned to tag among rows, cooking to shared recipes, outings to adventures. Sophia saw siblings, not rivals. Ethan and Lily found a guardian in her smarts. Margaret visited often, her health improving with the job's stability, witnessing the bloom. The farm echoed with unity, conflict yielding to connection, a new family forged in fire's glow. The sun rose over verdant harvests like a benevolent guardian, bathing the farm in a golden haze that promised renewal. Months had woven into a tapestry of transformation since the adoption's ink dried, and the once fragile threads of Ethan and Lily's lives now bloomed with vibrant color. The farm's rhythms, chickens clucking at dawn, tractors humming through fields, became their lullaby, a far cry from the creaky cottage's echoes of want. Ethan, now 7, had shed his wiry thinness for sturdy limbs, his blue eyes brighter as organic meals fueled his boundless energy. No longer haunted by hunger's gnaw, he dashed through orchards, backpack forgotten in favor of sketch pads, where he captured the farm's wonders, sprawling vines, playful goats, sunsets bleeding into the hills. At the Valley School, a haven of bright classrooms and eager teachers, Ethan thrived. Art class became his kingdom, charcoal flying across paper as he drew fantastical scenes. Knights battling dragons amid strawberry fields, inspired by Daniel's campfire tales. Look, Dad, he'd exclaim, bursting through the door with a rolled-up masterpiece, his faded red t-shirt traded for crisp farm-branded tees. Daniel, beaming with paternal pride, pinned them to the fridge, his warm brown eyes reflecting the boy's joy. Lily, 6 and blossoming like a wildflower, found her voice in music lessons. Her shyness melted under the teacher's encouragement, her blue eyes sparkling as she sang clear, sweet notes, folk tunes about rivers and stars, her stuffed bunny now a silent audience on her bed. The floral dress gave way to playful outfits, and her drawings evolved into songbooks, lyrics scribbled alongside doodles of family picnics. Sophia, the once reluctant sister, orchestrated their days with big sister zeal. At 10, her auburn curls bounced as she led garden adventures, teaching them botany from her books. This is basil, smell it, she'd say, crushing leaves between fingers, her hazel eyes alight with shared discovery. Conflicts faded like morning mist. Now they huddled over puzzles, Sophia patiently guiding Lily's hand, or raced Ethan through corn mazes, laughter echoing like wind chimes. Daniel fostered this unity with family rituals, organic cooking sessions where dough flew in mock battles, farm outings to harvest pumpkins, camping under starlit canopies where stories intertwined their pasts. Margaret's world, too, had shifted from shadows to light. Her administrative role at the farm, managing records in a cozy office overlooking the fields, suited her fragile health perfectly. No more frantic sewing by lamplight, steady pay-covered bills and flexible hours allowed rest when her heart protested. The chronic flutters eased with proper care. Doctors' visits funded, medications consistent. Her green eyes regained their spark, silver-streaked hair neatly pinned as she drove the familiar road for weekend visits. "Mommy!" the children would cry, barreling into her arms on the porch, sharing tales of school triumphs and farm escapades. She joined dinners, savoring Daniel's grilled vegetables, her gratitude simmering beneath every smile. As autumn leaves turned fiery, gratitude crystallized into action. Margaret, during one visit, pulled Daniel aside in the barn's hay-scented quiet. The air hummed with distant tractor rumbles, sunlight slanting through cracks like divine approval. "Daniel," she began, voice trembling like autumn winds, "you've been our savior. From that nightmare in the woods to this paradise. I see them thrive, Ethan's art, Lily's songs, and my heart doesn't ache with worry anymore." Tears glistened in her green eyes, hand clutching the silver necklace. "I was proud, too proud to accept help. But you gave us life anew. Thank you for adopting them, for the job, for healing us all." Daniel's throat tightened, memories of his scarred childhood flashing, abuse's bruises, orphanage's cold. "Margaret, it's you who saved them first with your love. This farm, it's empty without family. You've given me that." They embraced briefly, a pact sealed in shared redemption. The thank you gathering unfolded that evening, a feast under string lights strung across the porch. Tables groaned with harvest bounty, roasted squash, apple pies, fresh-baked bread, all organic, all from the earth Daniel nurtured. Neighbors and farmhands joined, but the core was family. Sophia, in a sweater embroidered with leaves, stood tall, clinking a glass. "Everyone," she announced, voice steady despite butterflies, "I want to introduce my brother and sister. Ethan, the artist who draws the best dragons, and Lily, the singer with the prettiest voice." Cheers erupted as the siblings beamed. Ethan waving a sketch, Lily humming a tune. Margaret raised her glass, tears flowing freely. "To Daniel, our unexpected hero, and to compassion that turns strangers into kin." As night deepened, the family gathered by the fire pit, flames dancing like hopeful spirits. Daniel strummed a guitar, Sophia reading aloud from her book, Ethan sketching the scene, Lily singing softly, Margaret watching with contented peace. Laughter mingled with crackling wood, weaving bonds unbreakable. In this circle, hardship's ghosts vanished, replaced by connection's warmth. From a lost afternoon in the woods sprang hope, an unexpected encounter blooming into lives reborn, proving that compassion's seed, once planted, could yield a harvest of endless grace. As the firelight fades and the family's laughter echoes into the California night, the story of Ethan, Lily, Margaret, Daniel, and Sophia leaves us with a timeless truth. Compassion can transform even the darkest paths into journeys of hope. What did their tale stir in you? How do acts of kindness ripple through your own life? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. Thank you for joining me in this heartfelt adventure, and I hope we'll meet again soon for another story that tugs at the soul.